Now I got a fun pattern for you today, folks, and this one goes out to all you Michiganders or Pacific Northwest winter steelhead fishermen. Of course, it doesn't have to be just a steelhead fly. You could tie this on a streamer hook and fish it in any trout water. Now, the original black demon probably was just a streamer, created by C. Jim Prey, I think as far back as the early 1900s. But when steelhead fishing kind of became a thing in the 1930s or so, this pattern, got adapted for steelhead. The original black demon was a tinsel body with a barred wood duck tail. This version has a black floss body with a silver rib and then a golden pheasant crest feather for the tail. So it's a very similar pattern, and I think it's just a really cool looking pattern. Definitely a fun one to tie. So there it is in the vise, a black demon, a C. Jim Prey steelhead pattern from the 1930s. I'm tying this on a size 4 single salmon hook. Let's see if we can get that barb pinched there. Okay, I think we're fine right there. And since this is a pretty big pattern, I am stepping up my thread. I'm going to go with a black 140 denier. Just catch it in right here behind that little bend. And I used to spend a lot of time trying to smooth that area out. And I don't worry too much about it anymore. I was never all that successful doing that anyway. So let's go ahead and take our thread back to the start of the bend. Now we're going to put a tag on this. Mylar tinsel, this is a medium, gold on one side, silver on the other. I want the silver showing, so I'm going to catch it in with the silver toward the hook. Now, just one wrap right there, but now we're going to take the thread back as far as we want this tag to be. So take a look at it. If I wrap it up 4 wraps right there, is that going to be enough? No, let's go a little farther back here. Okay, that should work. And now I'm going to put my thread about where I want the front of this tag to be. So I think that's going to work right there. Now here's a little tip. Just do 3 big open wraps right here. And we'll remember that just kind of gets our thread out of the way. And we can remember that it was 3 so we can back them off. Now just wrap this up. And I'm not trying to overlap. I'm trying to do just one turn right in front of the other. Hopefully I don't leave any black gaps showing. And if you do, it's not really a big deal. Okay, I think that's enough of a tag. I'm still holding this pretty tight. I'm going to back this off my thread 3 wraps. And now I'm right where I want to catch it off. Okay, I think that tag is fine. Let's do another wrap right here just to really lock this in. And I might have nicked my thread there. You see I got a little fray on it. But no worries, we will work right through that here in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead and snip this off. I'm going to tie it in again when I get back up front. Okay, so we're back up front, and I'm going to catch it in again, also with the silver side toward the hook, this time a little bit on the side. Not a real big deal, but I'm going to put in the tail, and I don't want this rib to be getting in the way. Okay, so that is kind of off on the side here, and our tail is a single golden pheasant crest feather. These can be a little tricky because they'll tend to, lay down or flip over on the side on you. So just try to lay it up there, be careful. We'll do 2 wraps, not tight at all really, and then just kind of position it and make sure we've got that angle and that bend we want. I think that's going to be fine. And now I'm just going to do some loose open wraps right here to kind of thicken up my body a little bit. I'm not really doing it to thicken it up, just so it will, it'll be a little bit smoother. And now I'm going to catch in about 10 inches of black floss. And I'm doing it up front so that I can wrap it down and then back and end up with 2 layers. So I'm going to leave my thread right here, but I'm going to just wrap this down and then go back up. And this will take you a minute. My goal here will be to cover all that tinsel and yellow from that crest feather on the way down and back up. So I'll speed this up so you don't have to watch the next minute and a half in real time. Okay, when you're happy enough with your body, go ahead and catch this off up front. And now just wrap this rib. However close together is your preference. I don't want them too close together, but enough to give it some nice flash. Okay, I think that's gonna work. Let's catch this off. I'm gonna do 2 wraps and then fold it back over and then 2 more wraps. And for the throat on this guy, orange saddle hackle, just cheap strung saddle hackle. I've actually pulled 2 little clumps out right here. I'm gonna flip it over, and I might need my thread a little farther up so I don't end up with a huge head. We'll see if that's gonna work for us. Let's catch this in right here with a little pinch wrap. Okay, do 2 wraps and then take a look and see what it looks like. I think that's going to be a fine throat right there, so another wrap or 2 to really lock it before we snip this excess right here. Now the proper wing, just black bucktail. Put a little bit of this in your stacker. And I said a little bit, but this is actually a pretty good sized tuft right here. I want a pretty beefy wing, and all the pictures I've seen of this, it is pretty beefy. So I'm gonna spin my thread clockwise, cord it up just a little bit, so this first wrap will give me a pretty tight bite right there. And I'm immediately going into some tight wraps right there. Now I don't want that wing laying down too much, but at the same time I don't really want it propped up a lot. But I am gonna try this. I'm gonna put a wrap up under it, and then over it, back to my side, and then under it again, which effectively is putting a wrap just around that bucktail on top. Now I did trap one of those orange fibers, but we'll be able to take care of that in just a second. So I like that where that wing is laying right there. Now we just got a big mess up front to cut off, and this might take us a couple of snips to get this short enough that we can bury and build a decent head. Now I think you'd be fine right there. You could finish that head and call this thing done. But if you have some jungle cock eyes, yeah, this is when you want to put them on. And I'm really running it down to the last few I have on this cape, and most of mine are split and just don't look all that good, but I'm gonna try them anyway. So let's see, yeah, maybe a little higher up right there. See if I can get that one to stay, and we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, I think that'll work. If I can just get them to stay in that position, a couple of tight wraps here before I snip the front ends off here. And now just build your big old head, big salmon fly streamer type head. And that's why I'm using this 140 denier thread. It'll be a little bit quicker with this one. Okay, I think that's big enough. Let's do a whip finish. Take a look, see if we have any cleanup. Yeah, I got a little bit of that orange I could clean up right there. And if you're using wax thread, just make sure you wipe some of that wax off before you put your head cement or UV resin on it. But I think we put a drop of resin on it, we got a fishable fly. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching The Black Demon. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.